Welcome back to Hermitcraft Season 10, this is episode 22, and we are on Minecraft 1.21, which I almost wish I'd made one less episode. That could have been really satisfying, but instead it was just a little bit disappointing. So, we now have trial chambers, which is great. I'm scared of them. And of course we have all of the new blocks, we've got the armadillos, we've got all the other bits and bobs, and I look forward to playing with those over the next few weeks, but for now, I've been doing some building. I was reading through your comments on the previous episode about the safe storage area. This is the input for my storage system, and the first thing that I've done is I've changed up the sign. You can see I now have the birch trapdoors behind all of the warp trapdoors, and that looks significantly better, but I couldn't help myself. In a similar style to how we have the dropped O on Ron's that is switched off, I really like the look of the off A. The fact that this one is clearly stopped working. I just think it adds so much character, and then I've added a few extra blocks and things. I would safely say this build is now all completed. Now, of course, every build in this area needs some form of business card. So this is the one that I've created, and it's pretty cool. I'd say it's in keeping with the style. We've got some 3D word art style stuff going on, and a fairly comical slogan. I mean, it's pretty evident that it's not the most secure of storage systems, given that every single one of the storage containers is open. So I'm super pleased with this. I think it ties the whole thing together. Safe storage is now fully in business. It is a part of the Magic Mountain row. I don't really know what to call this place, and I think it fits in really nicely. So now we're going to be leaving Magic Mountain and heading over towards the shopping district, because I've just had a message from the Poe Poe, and it weirdly sounds positive for once, or at least it's not a strike on my stores.
What? Good. Mr. Mumbo.
What the? Oh, jeez. Where did Mumbo come from? My God, that scared me.
Man, but Bo, did you just call me?
Mumbo.
Dude, you genuinely freaked me out. I turned around and that mustache is like right in my face.
I just heard you talking about blowing up shops and things like that, and that has me slightly concerned, as I'm on a yellow warning, and I'm very much struggling to stock some of my shops. Is this a genuine plan?
It's absolutely. There's going to be no more fooling. The Poe Poe has been far too lenient on the district, so that's going to be changing in a second. Now, listen, first of all, I just want to put it out there. You called him Mambo. I'm looking at some sort of alter ego, but it's a mix of Rambo and Mumbo. I love Mambo.
I like it too.
So here's how this is going to work. This door right here, this is going to be for our motorcycles, Mumbo. I just want to call you Mambo now. No, this is going to be for our motorcycles, and this is going to be something that we want rolling up or down, rather, at our will, and we need the master of doors to go ahead and do this, and that is where you come in. We know that nobody does a door better. What I don't want to do is I don't want to put you under the gun from a time standpoint, but I do want to let you know that this is, in case you're confusing it, this is not a request. This is an order.
Oh, okay.
This is for the better. Yeah.
So I'm just walking past. I did hear about you guys wanting a door, but I'm just walking past. I hear that you're going to be blowing up shops and things, which is definitely going to affect me as probably the worst at keeping their stocks. And then you tell me that I'm now required to build a door. I regret
That's correct.
Walking past.
That's correct. I planned on sending you a message, and I thought I did, but it doesn't matter now. It sounds like it's a happy accident that you arrived.
You didn't even send it to him?
Well, maybe I didn't, but it doesn't matter, because when the Poe Poe calls, people answer. So here we are. So we want this rolling all the way down. I would like us to shoot a target block to trigger it as our opener.
Of course.
And, as our closer.
That is, of course, yeah.
Any other requests you have, Sir Scar, for the door?
Can we get, Mumbo, some music to play when the door goes down? Some kind of like 80s beat? Beverly Hills Cop, maybe? Something like that?
Me.
Ooh, I like it.
Oh, man. It'd be so cool when this thing comes down and we start rolling out in our pigs at about quarter of a mile an hour.
Is there any leniency that can be put onto my shops?
I mean, nobody can be the model citizen that is Cub, but you can work your way to the top.
Okay.
Excellent. I want people walking by looking at it and going, Mumbo did that.
Hey, do we have to pay him?
Would you quiet?
I can hear you. We're in voice chat.
He's got a
I'm well within range.
Okay, he didn't hear. You didn't hear no.
Civic duty!
Okay, so that sounds like a really fun redstone project that I'm excited to crack on with, but before we do, I woke up ridiculously early this morning, but I couldn't sleep. I woke up at like 5 a.m. and I wanted to just start work on designing the bank that is going to be going on my Magic Mountain area. Magic Mountain Row, I think that's what we're officially calling it now. So for those who don't know, this is where all of my valuables are going to be stored, and it looks pretty cool. So this is this is the first build that I've actually planned out in creative mode beforehand. All of the others have been done in the form of concept art and all sorts of other methods, whereas this is much more conventional. I just logged in and started placing blocks, and I gotta say, I think it's come together pretty well. I based it off of the Flatiron building in New York. I think some of you might be able to see some of that, especially kind of the shape of it, I guess. Now, you may notice this edge over here. This is the edge that is pointed towards the safe storage area, so I thought I would make that a little bit more industrial looking. I like the idea that these two, they don't get along with one another. This is trying its best to be like a fine establishment that looks super posh, and then you've got storage containers next door. Oh, I guess the one detail that's going to change is these signs here. I was trying to make a dollar sign. Can you see it? Like, it is a dollar sign, okay, but it's really also not. I don't think it's come together quite how I imagined it would. So I'll be changing out those hanging signs for RR because I've got another business card. So this place is Rich and Rich, and it is run by Rich Richardson. He is in wealth management, and as you can see, this is a fancy business card printed on the highest quality paper, you know, with that posh font. This is just, it exudes wealth, unlike anything else on this area of the Hermitcraft server. So I've got everything worked out. Now let's start resource gathering. The first thing I need is a whole bunch of sandstone. Oh, yes. That is the best thing. I've crafted way too many. I've crafted way too many out of excitement. I'm very happy about this change, but my goodness. I am trying my best to get all of the random resources together so that I can just build this in one go. I will say that is the one beauty of having a build already done in the creative mode testing world, is that you kind of know what resources you need before you start. That definitely is not the case with concept art. The last few purchases being made now, these are surprisingly cheap. I'm almost tempted to buy more, just because I feel like that price could go up. And this should hopefully be pretty much everything. Now, I was having a discussion with Iskal the other day, and he mentioned that I'm a bit stupid for building my scaffolding out of wall blocks because it is so difficult to mine. But then he messaged me a few days later apologizing because he realized that you can actually put efficiency 5 on shears, and that makes wool insta-mineable. And he was apologizing to me, assuming that I always use efficiency 5 on my shears, so thus don't face this problem. And I don't have the heart to tell him that no, I definitely don't. In fact, it's pretty rare that I even have shears. This is a luxury right now. I feel like I'm speeding through. I am incredibly thankful for that information here, Scout. I am still going to build my structures out of wool, but I'm probably never going to put efficiency 5 on my shears. I have that stupid kind of laziness for certain tasks in Minecraft, and this is a good example of it. I am too lazy to put the efficiency enchantment on my shears, even though doing so would make this job so much easier. It's like how sometimes I'm too lazy to place down a beacon when I'm clearing out a place, even though placing the beacon would inevitably make the job quicker. There's got to be a word for that sort of laziness, that unique kind of laziness, and if there isn't, please come up with one down in the comment section. And with that, let's get to work on building this thing. And this was really interesting for me because obviously every other build that I've got in this area was done in a completely different way. It was based off of concept art or off the top of my dome or from mood boards from movies. Whereas this one, obviously I had the build fully fleshed out in a creative world and I was effectively copy and pasting it in. And I gotta say, the process was significantly faster. This whole build kind of came together within one day. So I went through the process of designing it, gathered the resources, and then it was built by the end of the day, which that is definitely not the case with the other stores in this area. It takes me, if I do a fully painted concept art, that normally takes me about 2 days. And then something like Willie's Woodyard, that took me 3 days to build on the server, 3 full days. Just my blocks per minute are so slow, and to experiment with the build obviously takes a decent length of time, because if you think, oh, I wonder if this block will work, you often won't have that block and then you'll have to go out and gather it. The whole process just slows down significantly. But I would say there are positives and negatives to that as well. Like, it's kind of nice being on the server and being able to experiment and take you through the experimentation process, whereas with this setup, obviously, I can't really do that unless I did all of the experimentation and took you through the creative process in the creative mode testing world. I guess I could do that. It's tricky. It's interesting. I don't really know where I stand on it. It's confusing, because if I did want to finish up this base really quickly, I could probably get all the rest of the builds done by the end of the week. But then it's also really nice to indulge in taking it at a slower pace and taking you through it with me. Gosh. One thing's for certain though, this build has ended up looking really, really cool. It fits in a little bit better than I was expecting. You know, this is definitely a change of style from the rest of the slightly wonky builds that I have in this area. This is a lot more uniform, but I think it kind of matches the vibe. I think one of the unexpected triumphs is this area here. I absolutely love these air vents and the way that this little walkway now kind of fits in between these two builds. And then I accidentally have kind of matched up the color palette of this into the color palette of this one, so we get a smooth transition. I'm really, really pleased. It looks cool from back here. It looks cool, especially from this angle. That's where we get to see most of it. And then as we start coming into entity distance, this is where it really starts to stand out. But I would say the best angle for this is probably the on the ground floor level. I love this little walkway. Yeah, really, really, really happy with this one. A successful addition to the base, and now we just have the science lab left, and then this entire bottom area is fully completed. So now let's do some redstone. The Popo want a piston door that will be activated, I assume, by this target block up here. Okay. And they also want it to trigger a record being put into... Oh no, I guess a player head being on top of a note block, I assume that's better. So they want the door to open once they've hit the target with an arrow, and as the door opens, some form of theme tune playing. I'm guessing I'm not responsible for the creation of the theme tune. Not the most musical chap. Although I do actually have a guitar running into this preamp. Does it? No, it doesn't actually come through the preamp. So my plan of action for any piston door of this sort of shape is to, of course, use slime block and honey block flying machines. So that's going to retract this thing down into the ground. So the first thing that we need to do is clear out a little space, or I guess a fairly big space for this. I mean, it's got to drop down a decent way. And then, I mean, this is, how many blocks is this? It is, why can I not count? 8 blocks. 8 blocks tall. Is that the top of the door? Maybe it is 7. Regardless, 7 or 8 blocks is going to require 2 flying machines for this one, or at least a flying machine with an attachment to the end of it. We can't just do it all with one. So with our hole all fully dug out, I think I need to do a tiny bit of planning. I don't want to design the entire thing in a redstone testing world, but I do want to work out how the slime blocks and honey blocks are going to be interacting. So this top one would be 12 blocks in total, and then we can have the bottom flying machine. So that is the entirety of our door. Yeah, I think I'm starting to realize that we're going to need a bigger hole. Okay, surely that is going to be enough for this redstone contraption. Now we have a small amount of resource gathering to do. I need a whole bunch of slime blocks, of course. I need a whole bunch of honey blocks, of course, and then sticky pistons and observers. That's pretty much all you really need for these sorts of redstone contraptions. In terms of actual complexity, there isn't really too much to them. Like, once you build the flying machines, the whole thing is kind of done. This is both the beauty and also slight sadness when it comes to large-scale piston doors. You see, massive piston doors in Minecraft used to be huge, complicated affairs with all sorts of bespoke, that's Joel's build, bespoke piston layouts and various different things that had to happen for them to open. Now it is just kind of sequences of flying machines. And this is where my recent video about Minecraft updates, it proves a point of Minecraft updates are really challenging. For example, I personally really love the fact that honey blocks are added into the game. I love the fact that they don't stick to slime blocks. I think it's great. But then it has fundamentally changed a lot of interesting redstone builds. A lot of people say that Mojang should add logic gates and things into the game, and various different types of pistons, for example, like double piston extenders in a piston. And as cool as that would be, it probably would revolutionize redstone a little bit. I don't know. I feel like it takes some of the creativity out as well. Like, as useful as a smart hopper would be for storage systems and for sorting systems, it would be cool to have in the game. I also kind of like the fact that we have to manually sort things with redstone logic. But that is coming from someone who very much enjoys redstone logic, so I am biased. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when the hopper was added. That being somewhat controversial. People used to enjoy the fact that you had to push your items outside of the loaded chunks to store them up. I don't know. Minecraft updates have been on my mind quite a bit recently. You know what else has been on my mind? The fact that I can't find any of my redstone components. Where are they? I will be building my redstone sorter very, very soon. Very, very soon. There they are. Of course, it's the last one that I check. And to add insult to injury, it's definitely not enough, but we will roll with it. Okay, let's get this worked out. So we've got the top section, so all of those top blocks are going to be pulled down. Okay, and then this sticky piston here is going to be activated by an observer. Nice one. And then, yeah, the bottom section of our flying machine is going to be going. I regret building the hole, and I also regret bringing absolutely no scaffolding blocks with me. Wait, I've just realized this floor is like 2 blocks higher than the outside of the door. What level do I need to build the door to? This is such a Skizz problem. I'm assuming I have to build it to that level, right? Because you couldn't have your garage door just open down and then not be able to get back into the garage. Like, there'd be no way to get back into the garage unless I did some form of like launcher to get the players back in, but that seems stupid. So just to clarify, this is our floor level. Okay, because I was getting confused as well. So then this is going to be our flying machine, and this is the thing that we need to activate to actually move our door up and down. Okay, cool. Oh, except of course, the piston push limit has struck again. So all of this redstone needs to be moved down ever so slightly. It will make the build a tiny bit bigger, but that doesn't really matter too much. So that gives us 12 total blocks in this segment. Perfect. And it also makes this piston significantly easier to power. So I would say all in all, that has worked out pretty nicely. Now this flying machine needs to go down by 7 blocks. So that is 1 block, 2 blocks, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I made the hole the perfect size. That makes me extremely happy. So we need movable objects down at the bottom here. And now we should be able to immediately give this thing a tester. I'm just going to fire it off. Okay, so activating the flying machine. 1 slice of the door opens up. Nice. It is level with the ground. Everything seems to have worked out pretty well there. And then when we do the closing, we need to make sure that we power this piston. So that needs to happen first. And then we activate this piston down at the bottom. And that should send everything up to the top. And our piston door is closed. Okay, that has worked out perfectly. Nice and easy. Okay, so that is a single slice. Of course, we have to do the remaining 4? Why am I so slow at counting today? And of course, each one of the slices we need to alternate between honey blocks and slime blocks, and preferably not fall down into the hole that we've created. So the actual piston layout is now all done. The door is in place. Now we need to do all of the inputs to activate the pistons at the correct time. So this should be the first input line. Please don't break, please don't break, please don't break. Everything looks like it's working properly. This is good. Excellent, that's gone well. Now the second input line is this line of redstone here. That is going to power our pistons here to push the top of the flying machine upwards. And then we've got our final input line down at the bottom, which is that line of redstone dust, which we need to run a delay into to make sure that this one activates first and then this one, otherwise everything will break. So this is my first test of the entire system. Gotta say, always nervous. But that all looks good. It looks like everything is behaving as it should. Yeah, I think our door is done. I think the door is done. Okay, cool. Everything is working. This is fantastic news. Not often that you design redstone contraptions in survival mode and have them work first time. That makes me happy. This guy's happy. Is Rendog happy? We'll ask him. He's taken quite a long time to reply. That hasn't quite had the ending that I was expecting. And on that note, let's move on to all of the other details of the build. Now look, I'm not going to be one who is judgmental to Scar and Skizz, okay? And their names aren't Grian, so this is a positive, but I do feel like there's potential for spammage. You know, I can imagine they're both trying to shoot the target. They both ended up hitting it. in quick succession. The redstone lines fire at the wrong time, the entire flying machine breaks, everything sticks together, and I have to rebuild the whole thing. I really want to try and avoid that. So I'm going to add some protection into the circuit, and I'm going to add it all underneath here for 2 reasons. Number one, I don't want a bulky redstone contraption up at the top there, but also, I don't know if this is the final location for the target block or if that's just been placed randomly. Oh, I accidentally bought the expensive rockets from Iskal's shop and they are so much harder to fly with. That aside, I've added in some of the pulse extenders and things, but then I've started thinking, you know, this garage door needs to open from the outside as well. Do I want it to automatically close behind them, or is it going to stay open until they return back? There's kind of more to this than I kind of thought. Okay, I think I've come up with an idea. Basically, I'm going to detect when the door is opened. After a certain amount of delay, the door will automatically close, but the input that is running into the door will have a massive pulse extender, so any future shots into the door won't be counted until it is done the opening and closing sequence. I think that makes sense. I've got some of the circuitry in place already. I just need to connect up, I guess, this circuit. I'm going to be honest, I haven't really tested any of this stuff, so there's a chance that it will break. But it seems to be okay. So now if I shoot this target, that should activate the opening of our piston door, and when the piston door gets down to the bottom, it should trigger the bottom circuit, which will then close everything back up, and our pulse extender is still activated, so that if I was to shoot the target again in that time, nothing bad should happen. I shouldn't be able to break this thing, which is very, very important on the Hermitcraft server. Amazing. The only thing that I think I'm going to change, I think the door needs to be open for a little bit longer, and that has now been done. So now I've added in the input to the other side of the door, and I've placed in pressure plates. But should it also be a target on this side? I mean, it wouldn't be difficult for it to be a target. Maybe I'll just put one there as an option as well, and I'll wire in both of them, and I can say that you can remove one or the other. That probably seems like the way to do it. Now, for the target block inside, you may notice some strange things going on over here. That is because I've added in this system, and I'm not entirely sure if it's going to work. I missed the target. That's so embarrassing. Okay. It does seem to be working. And all of the spam protection's looking good. Door is closed. Spam protection has only just switched off. I mean, this is good, except now that hasn't gone down. Why hasn't that gone down? Wait, have I just remembered something about target blocks? You see, I don't really use target blocks for target blocks. I use them to redirect redstone signals. Do you not need a comparator to judge the quality of a shot? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, that is embarrassing. Well, the question is, do I leave that in? Do I make it so that they actually have to get a good shot to open their door? Or do I make it so that any shot that's on target opens the door? I don't know. I don't know what's better. I mean, that was a pretty horrific shot and it opened the door. I feel like I've accidentally done the right balance. Cool. The final thing to add is the note block. That will have a custom player head on top of it, which will play the crazy music. I think that's how that works. If they want me to replace that with a jukebox, then I can. I don't really know how these custom sounds and things work. Finally, I'm just going to place in a whole bunch of immovable objects there, just so that when Skizz or Scar are doing the floor, they hopefully don't break the system. I guess I'll just surround the rest of this area in calcite. This is only temporary. They can change this. But any of these blocks need to stay, or they at least need to be replaced with other immovable objects, otherwise the whole thing will break. Cool. Okay, the Poe Poe piston door is now all completed. It is target activated. It has got spam protection. It has got an external opener that can either be pressure plates or target blocks. I actually want to see what this thing looks like from the outside, because I haven't really seen this door opening on the outside. The redstone doesn't work. That's always excellent. That really makes me pleased. I'm so happy to see. Oh, and it's not dark enough for me to go to sleep yet, so I have to wait and just spam the bed. Seriously, I don't understand why this didn't work. Oh. Oh no. That's the worst. I should have known. Oh, no. Did you think they'll notice? It's practically identical. Well, the redstone's fixed. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you. Bye.